Okay, so here's a quick video about citation style this week. We're working with new sources this time, but you're including your old CQ researcher source in the citation anyway, so that we're collecting all those sources together. Remember that we've got the work cited at the top. It has to be more than a URL. Why does it have to be more than a URL? You have to signify that you've done the work of looking this source up, finding its author, finding all of the relevant information. It really hasn't changed that much since they started using citation style for books. At least the rationale hasn't. You always lead with the author. If the source doesn't have an author, it should make you ask questions about who is writing this source, though there are some good organizations that write sources, of course. It'll have a title and publishing information, including the date. So it's really quite a bit more information than just the URL if we apply this old book format to the new format with electronic media. And I'll note for my students in campus class that sources have authors. Got to look for those authors. Why do we do citation style at all? We give credit where credit is due. It's kind of the golden rule for giving good citation style at the end of your paper and even during your paper for where your information comes from. Notice the CQ researcher does that. They give credit where credit is due. They never forget to do that when they're talking about their subject. It also beefs up our own credibility. If you're a vegetarian, you can think about it adding tofu to your own credibility. Ha ha ha. No, but the idea is that it builds your credibility because you're citing credible sources, as long as you articulate why that's credible, whether they're accurate, whether they cover more. Talked about the golden rule already. But it originally developed really so that people could find the link or the citation, the source that you used. And it hasn't really changed all that much. And that's why people continue to do citation style. They want to be able to look up stuff that they're interested in. If you provide a URL that's a big long search string that's only specific for one database, one search, it's not going to actually get them back to that original thing. And if it's this long, cumbersome thing that they'd never type in, then that won't be as helpful. Okay, so we're doing this work cited this week. You might have your first source. Here's that CQ researcher source. Remember, it's going to have, as I said, above an author, title, publishing information. Even if it's online information, it's going to have all that stuff. I'm going to just take a issue of the reading crisis, which I made mention of in a content module earlier this week, and here's the basic format. No big surprises there. Now let's go over to one source and see whether we can walk through how we do that citation style. A lot of this is done for you already, which maybe makes it too easy. I've done a little search here on reading in EBSCOhost. I'm using a different database now. This is one that's off that same listing of databases for the school. But if we go part of the way down the page and take a look at, let's see if there's a source that I'd like to take a look at. Here's one. Embracing ebooks, increasing students' motivation to read and write. Now, you'll notice that I'm dealing with, in EBSCOhost, a database of sources, but EBSCOhost itself is not the source. The sources are the old print sources. It's funny how things really don't change that much. Even if the print sources have adapted to an online media environment, you're still citing, in this case, educational leadership, or in this case, Gifted Child Today. These are these old periodicals that used to come out, and those are the real sources, or really where the source that you have comes from. They're always in italics. You can tell on the part here is Instructor, which is another source. Independent School. You'll find Time, Newsweek. You'll find blogs. You'll find other different sources. But that's your source. Now let's look at this specific one. Embracing ebooks, increasing students' motivation to read and write. I clicked on it, and here it comes. It'll give me the citation. Even give me the full article if I want to download it, and even some images from that article. So it really is pretty comprehensive, much more sophisticated than when I went through school. And of course, you can do all these things, print, save, all these other things, but you'll notice it has citation here too. And you click on it, it'll give you the citation format. Sometimes people will stop with APA, and they think they found it. You need to scroll down a little bit to show that you've done the full business of doing this right. And even here, it's useful to have practiced this and know what an MLA citation style looks like, because this isn't entirely perfect. You have to incorporate in paste, and I'll give it a nice color so that I can make out what it's, get it to look just right there, and take off that funny extra highlighting that it had. A couple of things about transferring it from your file. Okay, It's not exactly correct here. We'll just adjust it. It should be in hanging indented format. On Word I can do that right here, right off where it has a selection for paragraphing. Now why do that? It's so that you can take a look right down your row where you have works cited page and look to the authors. Look to the last name of the author. It's always listed alphabetically. There are no numbers. Alphabetical listing. No numbers. No, none of the funny superscript. That's Chicago style. That's not what I'm asking you to do. And usually it's given double spaced. So if we go back here and mark it all up, it's all given a double space. Hanging paragraph, double space. It's all set to go. That took me about a minute after I figured out a little formatting details. If you really get stuck, of course, you can email me for how to cite a source and how you're using that. Students do that with me all the time. It used to be that we'd have to have a handbook to try and find all the citation styles. Now it's made so easy for us, maybe even too easy, because people have forgotten what they actually should look like. If you really get stuck, though, you can look up on, again, in the library website. I pointed this out last week. Get on halfway to the page, library. Okay, and go to web links. And if you go part of the way down the page, or even just click on where it says right here, citation style, it'll give you a host of different places that you can go, including Noodle Tools. I like the University of Wisconsin-Madison web style, citation style link. I find that pretty helpful. Also Purdue's pretty good. But that's what you do, and any one of these can give you basic formatting. Here's one that's developed by the school. And it shows you basic rules for doing citation style depending on which kind of source you're using. Okay? So, this is a short little presentation on how to get that MLA citation style right. If you're spending longer than 10 minutes on trying to get that right, you're spending too long. I'd rather have you spend time digesting that source, writing to me about what makes that a good source, and applying the criteria that you have for last week.